Hello everybody, Danny TCV, the Criminal Violin here, and welcome to OpenTTD, or Transport Tycoon Deluxe. Now, if you're not familiar with, which you might not be, with TTD or Transport Tycoon Deluxe, or any of the Transport Tycoon series, well, it is a game by British game maker Chris Sawyer, who is right up there with Tom Sawyer. Okay. He's right up there with the developer of I can't remember, but the developer of Civ and other games like that. Which I believe he's also British. Anyway, they're both like the quintessential sim strategy people, except for the fact that Chris Sawyer has always been more oriented around the transport setup, which I guess makes sense because he's British and European. But anyway, stereotypes. Well. So anyway, welcome to that. So if you haven't, was initially started with Transport Tycoon, of course, which was the original one, and then Transport Tycoon Deluxe, which was essentially a second version, which was just like an updated version that came out, I think, a year or two later. Anyway, and I think it was 2000. I want to say it was 2008. I think Chris Sawyer just basically said, you know what, I'm going to make this open source, and you guys can, you the community can go gung-ho on it, because I don't have anything else I want to do with it anymore. And thus came the mass community that just grouped together and immediately took over as OpenTTD, or Transport Tycoon Deluxe. So, and of course, I touched this game up, probably the first time I ever played this game was, that's really tough, probably, I think it was with an actual CD, so I think it was the original Transport Tycoon. It was probably, I want to argue 2005, but I'm not entirely sure if it was when I was in 5th grade, because I think that's when I was either 5th or 6th grade. Yeah. Anyway, it probably was around that time. But anyway, so yeah, this is probably the very first time I ever touched on this game, and of course I immediately became attached. And yeah, so then of course I got my hands on the deluxe version, and I don't know, I can't remember what it was that made it just, I think the graphics were slightly upgraded, but I don't know. Anyway, but everybody insisted they wanted to keep it this original kind of graphics way, so it can occur as really low res and really stupidly simplistic and ancient to you guys, and it is. I mean, you may be used to state-of-the-art graphics, or at least up there, modern, but that is not what a lot of the community, especially of my age group, which is pretty much almost the whole of the YouTube community, YouTube gaming community, is people, 20 to 30 years of age. So I mean, and I'm 21, going to 22, so I grew up in the 90s, so I'm used to NES and Super Nintendo, NES or Nintendo, the original Nintendo, and then Super Nintendo and PlayStation 1 and Game Boy, the big bulky gray one, and then the Game Boy Color and all that stuff. And I have this, and then PC, because I have this gap, because my gap is, which I suppose you could say is bridged by a PC, but it's a gap that I have that was ended PS1, and it just dumped off all the DS, all the Game Boy Advance, the GameCube. I had a little experience with N64, but not that much. But it's just like anything in between, and I just never really touched it. I played a little, like very slightly. I had maybe a grand total of I probably have a grand total of like 2 hours of playing the original Xbox under my belt, and maybe about arguably about an hour, maybe hour and a half of Xbox One, and maybe currently PS3 and 4 probably have about roughly both probably about 30 to 45 minutes under it. But so I just have this big gap, and then the most modern thing I have console wise, I still have, and I've only had and I really play, is a Wii. So I just I have this not the Wii U, a Wii, actual Wii. So it's like I have this big bridge gap where I just there's nothing there. So I'm not I have a bias to 90s stuff anyway, and then I have bias to then just what I like modernly. And I wouldn't mind getting my hands on maybe a PS4 or something. But that would, of course, take a lot of money or something. But anyway, or something. What a description. Anyway, enough blabbing. Went on for 5 minutes about all sorts of just this and in my day, the 90s. Anyway, Backstreet Boys one. Anyway, yeah. So let's just stop blabbing and get into this game. So the first thing I want to do is I want to show off. This can be addicting, of course, too. I mean, look at this stuff. Yeah, I fast forward, but it still takes many hours of my day out when I play it. Like, on average, I get up around between the years of 2080 and basically 2100 or so. Usually how far I go in games. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Eagles Rock, bruh. Actually, yeah, I want to go with Eagles. Derp. I would want to still go with Triton. Okay. So I believe this is the one that I would want to show off just so I can, I believe, show off, one, how big the cities can get. And they can get even bigger than they are there. And then two, I want to show off because of the fact that one of the, see, I got, what I was doing with this is I suddenly started and I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put YouTubers, random YouTubers, every so often, every, 30, 50 years in the game, up as this CEO, running of this bitch, CEO of the company. So, in this case I got Cricken, or Sydney, up there. And then I got, before that I had Quentin, or Husky Mudkips, up there. Of course, he was very happy when he heard about that, and then he got sad when I, announced that he officially was done and Cricken was taking his place. Rip in pieces. Sad face. Anyway, so it was always fun because I didn't expect any interaction from them, but actually I got interaction from Quentin, so it made me actually really happy. Just like, yes, this is perfect. Anyway, unexpectedly I didn't really get any attention from Cricken, but it's fine. I wasn't expecting attention, that wasn't my purpose, but my porpoise. Anyway, say Bruisers. I think we're yellow. I do believe we are. Yeah, we are, aren't we? Derp. Yes, we are. Okay. So, Bruisers International, because nothing else in CPU is G. Oh god, I'm forgetting. I want to say GRX or GFX. I think it's. Oh god, I'm forgetting. I have to go back into looking at that. For some stupid reason, my brain has been forgetting such obvious stuff. Anyway, so whatever it's called, new GRF. That's what it is. It's called a new GRF or GRF. So these city names are GRFs, and GRFs are also, they can be AI. They can be graphics changes, which I think this is actually a graphics change world, but maybe not. I don't remember it being that dark, but it probably isn't. And then I think this locking camp is also a new GRF. And then of course companies can be new GRFs. So in fact all companies are new GRFs, it seems. When you do AI competitors, at least from my experience, I haven't noticed anybody else coming out. So 407,954 for Brussels sprouts over here. We were priorly red, I think, by the way. But anyway, trying to remember off the top of a really dead head. Belfast is 463,000 up. Victoria. Yep. This essentially is almost my headquarter region. I know I was thinking about making it my headquarters. I just love that name so goddamn much. Like, is the person known as a city or anything else? Those angles, though, man. Okay, but there's. Okay, so another thing to show off is the town directory. So Abu Dhabi, the city that's always forgotten in the UAE. World pop is 60,300,854. I think the highest I've ever gotten it was actually into the billion, I want to say. Was it? I don't know. I think it was really close, but I'm not entirely sure. Then again, that would just take like every township and city to be immense. Immense again. Okay, so like Adamastown is 683. Cardiff, of course, they play Tobias too. But they're too small, sadly. It's not as big as I want. And then the stupid AI decided to make it constricted because of this Asian town. Makes me sad. No racism. Anyway, Amsterdam is of course 843 strong. But yeah, you know, it's just like cities can get even into the 2 million and stuff like that. But to be expected is that, you know, there's going to be a lot more companies there. There's going to be a lot more entities. There's going to be a lot more vehicles. There's going to be a lot more buildings. There's going to be a lot more trees. There's going to be a lot more everything that it has to deal with your computer in order to load. So it can actually get really, really incredibly laggy. So a lot of times when you're zooming away, like you're fully zoomed out, you're just like, I'm keeping fully zoomed out so I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, and you know, I know how to build this route. But it'll lag incredibly bad a lot of the time. So a lot of times you have to be zoomed at least halfway, if not all the way in. And the zoom goes from, I think it's +4 to zooming in to -8 zooming out. I want to call it -8, but it's actually 8x zooming out. So 8 times zoomed out. So you can get like, you know, a big chunk of the world. Although this is version 1.5.1 and it's fairly readily updated. So I'm pretty sure by now, I want to say it's probably 1.7.1 or 1.8.1 is probably what the game is on. And of course, different cities will be happy or incredibly mad. Like Dongguan, whatever. Dongguan. It should be happy because, like, I'm servicing them hardcore, but locally this way, regionally in the terms of the lake area, and then I have a few international flights too. It's like, imagine it out to a much broader region and you know, mass region, so all the way up to places like Amsterdam, Moscow, Toronto, Stockholmers Syndrome. What? Oh yeah, Guatemala City. Completely forgot about that. I have been servicing that, but just very slightly, less than I should be. Malina, Philippines. Howdy her. Philippines. Yeah, I don't know. It's really cool, and I get giddy about it because it makes me. I wish it was a lot more in depth though, like especially airline wise, because oh, that'd be cool. And I'd like to be able to know how to create my own GRF, so I have my own like Danardian's airline livery and stuff. But I don't know. And Slavic Airlines and all that. I've always dreamed of. Oh god, I have so many ideas for different games like that. Super in depth, like airline games and stuff. Tycoon games, but anyway. Yes, although it'd be kind of be city building and world building and country building and all that stuff too. I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting. Like I just want it. Everything it has to be like beyond comprehensively in depth for me. Mount Bockler, of course. I play bias too. Mount Bockler. Bachelor, which is Central Oregon. Of course, I'm from Oregon, if you didn't know that. But there you go. And that's a place that I'm very fond of from 2 different trips we took as a child. As a sishled. Just as a fish. Anyway, so, I don't know. I just figured I'd show that off. And I wish I could zoom out further. I'm also used to this being pretty much full screen. But, yeah. Willemstad. Willemstad. Cheyenne. Bucks. Mumbai. Malabo. Etc. etc. Anyhow, Rabat is down here. Should be around this area. Rabat. There's, however you say that. Valletta. Rio de Janeiro, Kabul, Minsk, Nukoik, etc. etc. Dar es Salaam. Okay, well, enough of this shite. So, actually, you know what? This is a good world to actually probably showcase something else off at as well. So, very quickly, we are going to. That's not what I wanted. We're going to go back to the town directory, and what we're going to do is we're going to run another set of routes, and we're going to go like these. So you have to click on the hangar, which, let's zoom in. By the way, I have new GRFs in here, so that this is not the default buildings. I mean, some of them are, obviously. I left the default buildings want to make sure the GRFs did not turn them off. So I just have basically some of the biggest amounts of varieties of buildings I can get, diversity of buildings, without taking up too many GRFs to have those buildings because of stuff. By the way, if you're not familiar, this is the Formula One Etihad Airways livery, and I happen to be very fond of it. For Abu Dhabi, of course. So it's kind of makes perfect sense to have, that be kind of the headquartered flight plan for Abu Dhabi. Of course, another one that makes perfect sense is to be Emirates. I love Emirates too. I have a big bite for. But anyway, so we're gonna go for 1,447 miles per hour. Bleh. I always play huge bias to Airbuses too because I love Airbuses. Airbus. So we're gonna go big dog, the A380, the biggest aircraft known to man. Thank you. Alright, and we're gonna go full. I love Qantas too, I don't know why. Alright, we're gonna go for Emirates. We're gonna go Abu Dhabi. Oh gosh. We're going to go into Guatemala City. Berlin. Bratislava. Good Christ. Okay. Here we go. And we're gonna go there. Now, it can actually be very beneficial to just do two different routes, and it can also be quite lethal to do two different routes with a big and expensive to maintain and run aircraft like this, because of the fact. Whoops, probably shouldn't pause it. What am I doing that for? Derp, derp, derp. There we go. Okay. So, because of the fact that you have to think of the running cost and the likelihood is of how much money you'd make between the routes. And of course, it's going to flux every so often. Even if you have your inflation and stuff in your world off and a really balanced economy, it's permanently, basically. It's still going to end up having that problem. And right now it's lagging badly, as you can see. One is trying to save the game, and two, I'm probably, in its opinion, zooming way too far out. Take a look at Swedish Airlines and the Swedish Swiss Airlines, and of course Federal Express, which I play bias to ups instead because screw Federal Express. Anyway, yeah. So for I found the best possible thing you can do for big, or most, really almost all, but usually the biggest ones of the mail aircraft, by the way, is to just constantly add like every possible airport you can onto their route, or at least add like, I'd say a base minimum of 12, recommended of probably around 15 to 25 of them airports to go to, and make sure they're not all like really close together, because big aircraft will tend to take, I think these take 1,239 bags of mail. Yeah, they do. And most airports, no matter how big they are, will average about, like, see, it just took almost all of it. But they'll average, about, roughly about 1,200 to 3,000 bags of mail. So it makes a lot of sense. Plus, it makes sure that they have a full load every time, and there's still some left, just in case you have any other aircraft picking up mail. Like, all other passenger aircraft still have a cargo basin, and so by default they store, like there's no other choice, they just store mail in there. So you transfer both. Here's the four Abbeys. Abu Dawson. So, yeah. And then see, a lot of times it'll take it, for unknown reasons, a lot of time to restore the mail. Who knows why? And, yeah. So, let's just go for a Federal Express, and I'll mess with that just because I want to. But of course, at this point, this is probably going to be cut out because it's going to take a while if I do what I did, what I said that most people should do. So we're gonna go there, and then we're gonna go. Why not? We're gonna go straight to Abu Dhabi, and then we're gonna go Hagrecia, because why not? Hagrecia, whatever. Yep. Wow. Okay. Incoming. Apparently, but nice to have a warning for that. Alright. Hamilton. Yeah. I'm gonna go for. I was. I had. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have a GRF where I just added random vehicles, and then I placed them in here. So a lot of times, if you're right around where a fire truck is, you will not hear it shut up. So, anyway, so yeah, Don Henley, another Henley, and then you got way too many Henleys. Just because I don't know, it made sense to me to make this the main city, Henley, or yeah, I guess, and then Henley City is just kind of another random portion, I guess, and then East Henley. So these are two different cities, but they're both named after Don Henley. I don't even know anymore. Anyway, so yeah. See that Henley is also expanding down to here because I made a tunnel for it. I think that's Henley. If it's not Henley, then it's probably these guys, but it's up on the hill, so I'd have to imagine it's Henley. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we are gonna look at Four Corners. This is the last little place I added in because I figured, let's put somebody right in the middle. Joe Walsh apparently is a ever-growing bastard who refuses to stop. And Don Felder is getting screwed like he actually did in real life with a band. Then we have the actual band, the Eagles. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go down to Eagles. You know, we'll leave it at 5. Just because, for the sake of, how did I stop, Donnie? Alright, before we get too carried away. So anyway, you get the kind of the point. And then I'm going to quickly show off, I guess, some, yeah, I'm too zoomed in, doesn't like me anymore. Yo, mommy, oh, please don't kill me. Okay, so yeah, certain, these of course is a new GRF as well, is the, additional aircrafts like Airbuses and stuff, so World Airliner set and, Aviation set and all that stuff show. What you want to do is you want to go click on that fella, and then you have your, that's basically the, reshuffling of the livery. Or it can be also a replacement of what the actual cargo is. So you can leave it as the typical advertisement of Airbus when they first show off their planes at an air show. That's the livery you get, except it's in your color of your airline. And you can go for, of course, Air France. Well, that's weird. I remember it not automatically show what it would head out to be. But anyway, yeah, we got Air France. I'm suddenly having like a lot of cloggage coming into my nostrils for some other reason in the back. British Airways, Emirates, of course, as we've seen. Etc., etc. So you got Korean there, and you got Lufthansa, and you've got Qantas, and you've got. It looked like it said signature there for a moment. You got Singapore, and then this is a Boeing. You got Wizz Air. A lot of people bash Wizz Air. I actually like their livery. Like, that looks worse than the actual livery. But, I don't know. Hey, go to hell. Yeah. Derp, go to hell. I only likes it if you have what... Well, anyway. Yeah. So, anyway, each plane has different liveries. Some planes have loads of liveries and all that stuff. But, yeah. I can't remember how long Cricken has been... CEO, but I don't think for very long. I have to look way back in my tweets in order to figure that one out. Anyway, so yeah, I'll see you when we're in another world. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go straight into the scenario editor. Melvin. What this is, that's a GRF, of course, that I have, and I do not like that it's supposed to make grass look more realistic, and I don't like it. But anyway, so yeah, makes the location more fake, not more real, like I thought. So you can just automatically start making towns like this, right? You can just have your endlessly perfectly flat land and never have to worry about anything going on. You can also adjust the date. I can't remember how far back you can adjust the date to be honest. I think it's all the way back to like 1920. It might be even further back than that. It might just go like, you know, the first transport ever, which was railroad, I think. So, yeah, it was the first transport ever was railroad, other than your own feet. And of course, horse and buggy. Which, by the way, that's also, I think, a new GRF as well. Okay, you can go back into the 1800s. I wonder if I can go. Let's see. I haven't actually gotten that exploration before. Well, okay, we're prior to our return. Ain't just back trains and sales no more. No more, no more, no more, no more, no more. How far can you go back? Hello. Can you go like all the way back to like, the first ever horse and buggy or something? Or what is this? Is it like unlimited? You can just go back as far as you want? What the hell? Okay. I'm about to cry because it's actually comedically weird. Yeah, that also is weird. I don't know why I'm about to cry. It's like, ah. It's like, I haven't taken this. It's so weird. I don't know, this is weird. I think you might be able to go unlimited use back. I did not know that. That means you're probably allowed to go unlimited use forward in time. I think we're about to enter the 1400s. Time when they decided, yes, we are. Well, now we're just, the whole world's starting to build plenty of castles. So holding it. Wow, okay, well, that's a thing. I suppose. Okay, so, we're gonna do that. We're gonna go into... That wasn't what I wanted. I wanted landscape. Okay. So, create new scenario. And of course, this goes all the way down to 64 by 64 if you wanted that small of a world. I don't know why anybody would want anything small at all. Like, as soon as I noticed there was a 4096 by 4096, I'm like, yes, I have to use that. I have to have that. And so I did. I immediately jumped from the 2048 to 4096 to 4096. Anyway. So, I was hoping we would keep it at 1434. Damn it. Alright, fine. We'll keep it there. You can change the height of the plate lane. Anyway, so you can go with just another exactly flat world if that'll float your boat. For me, of course, you can choose different biomes. You can choose Arctic, you can choose Desert/tropical, you can choose Candyland, you can choose the temperate. Well, we've already seen the temperate. We're going to go to Candyland. I have no clue how in the hell it's going to look with this GRF. It's not a very good representation of how the game actually looks. But the first world was, actually. So, we're going to just quickly, you know, shuffles back out the GRFs that were new and goes back to the ones that that world had. Anyway, we're going to go to... Of course, you can change the maximum map height and everything else. And blah, 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 blah. I don't know why you can't change those. I assume it's just because it's not... You didn't just, like, randomly jump yourself into a scenario. Okay, so you have the original one, which is the typical, stereotypical TTD tip... a TT. And then you have the OpenTTD version, which is Terra Genesis. So basically, some people in the community that are helping develop it basically decided to make something even better. And you can choose the terrain type, very flat, hilly, mountainous, and alpinist. You can choose variety distribution from none to very high. Sea level, very low to custom. Random map edges, or you can freeform, or you can just, like, customize it like that. We're gonna go with random as usual, though it's pretty predictable what it does. It pretty much puts ocean on pretty much every last possible end. So, and then you can choose the amount of rivers, so many basically equals like your world tends to be quite waterlogged, at least in my experience. And then smoothness, which I have endless amounts of experience in this game. And then smoothness, it's very smooth to very, very rough, of course. I'm not exactly sure what smoothness does, though, to be honest. Like, I don't know if I've ever noticed a difference when I mess with that. But anyway, so we're gonna go generate a Candyland. Ice cream, lollipops, come get your gumdrops. Where are you? Yes, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang reference, because I am of my generation. Anyway, I really like that because he's a creepy guy and I kind of feed off of that. I don't know, there's so much wrong with me. Never ask that question. There's just too much to list. Anyway. Yes, so, a fatal new GRF has occurred. This set is not designed for Toyland climate. Yes, so we don't have Toyland, but we have Toyland water. Okay! Well, we still can get our paints off under the cool notch. Aha! We're still on Elder Scrolls names. Full grief, as you saw. Fair enough. Alright, well, we're going to rename one ourselves, and we're going to say Yutubs. Because that's Yutubs. The large little city, loot hard cheap, we're gonna, yeah, you know what we're gonna go with. Now we're gonna go with original roads. Alright. I'm full of indecision, and it's a beautiful thing. And then we're gonna go with you suck. Or you do suck. And then we're gonna place you over here. And then we're gonna go like this. And I'm gonna say this game. Love. And then we're gonna put you with better roads. Now we're gonna put you with a 2x2 grid. Over here. Okay. There you go. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to expand. Now, that's the cool thing, is that in this, you can, in the scenario editor, you can expand any city or township you want. Now, it depends on the road system you have, and also the terrain that you plant townships and stuff near and on, if a town will not grow very satisfactory in terms of, like, if you want it to be immense, then the likelihood is, if you plant it on top of a mountain or near a mountain or anything, or near water, too close, it's not going to get to 1 million very quickly, because it's going to feel constricted, and the game isn't going to exactly like trying to expand that down. But you got your 31,000 big, you suck! Okay, bye-bye. You're going to go like this. Now you notice that this is expanding a lot quicker. That's because it has a better road, quote-unquote, layout. There's your suck. Good. Just kidding, laugh. And this will grow even quicker because it's a 2x2 grid. So that means that the blocks are, well, 2x2. Just kidding, laugh. We're gonna make that a city of love. It's gonna be 54,000. Why? Cuddly, cuddly, boo boo. And you see, the skyline can be varied and stuff, so. Yeah. I'm not sure why it expanded like that. I guess it still thought that the terrain was weird. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to quickly go to, that could work. Damn, I need some really flat land. And God, there's so much water everywhere. Oh no! Oh my, oh dear. Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay, this area looks pretty good. Okay, so. Though it does not like any kind of terrain line, but I think this will be good for adding another big city. So let's just give Velas its, I don't know, its pride and glory. We're gonna put it here. Hope that it doesn't Scrooge McDuck us, that it's kind of close to water's edge pretty much everywhere. And that should expand very rapidly. Okay, we're just gonna keep spamming that button. And no freezy freeze, of course, when it's trying to load in a massive amount of entity. So yeah, it's not the best place to try and get it to 1 million. If you have like somewhere that's completely flat, you can really quickly get it to 1 million. Like, because the game doesn't feel like the city's constricted in growth. So this is gonna have a small skyline too. It's just gonna randomly be a downtown region. That kind of reminds me of like the sprawl of Portland. It's, you know, Portland is a huge sprawl of basically suburbs with a random few little high rises and no skyscrapers. Like, I think there's a grand total of like what I would consider high rises, like basically our version of skyscrapers. I would consider them probably 6. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'd say something like 6. I'd say like we have like what I would consider high rises, which is basically our version of skyscrapers and PDX in Portland. It's definitely probably I would say the 6 high rises. That's like it. That's our quote unquote skyscrapers here in PDX, and then the rest was just suburbs, basically. Just, you know, maybe 3, 4, or 5 story buildings. Some of the buildings we have are like 8 or 9 stories tall. But I wouldn't consider them high rises almost. I just consider them high density buildings just because they're not really that tall. But yeah, at that point then there'd be a lot of them. Like a lot, you know. But yeah, we don't, yeah. Coming to Portland, you think, oh, it's considered by the biggest cities in the United States at, you know, about averaging between 560 and 586,000 people. It's gotta have a big sky. And you come here and it's like, holy shit, there's no skyline. It's like, yep, that's Portland. And then there's like, you know, little townships that are like 30, 40,000 big, you know, and they actually have a skyline, and we're just like sitting here like, yeah, no. The joke here is basically, in other words, with Portland is we're a big township pretending to be a massive metropolis. That's basically what it is. And Portland, you know, has got itself trapped by Columbia, the Willamette, the West Hills, Forest Park. It's got itself trapped by, you know, all the other surrounding municipalities like Milwaukee and Oregon City, Lake Oswego, Beaverton, where I'm at, and then you got Gresham, you got Troutdale, you got Malala, you got Canby, you got Johnson City. I don't know why Johnson City even somehow got even incorporated. That doesn't make any sense. It's just this little speck and it got incorporated in the middle of the sprawl. Like, really? I don't know, but they're just like crunched. So now Portland just wants to grow purely high density. They just want nothing but high density buildings that are high end. So basically we're going to have a complete housing crash, just like Vancouver, BC is about to have, because we're following the same path. We're like, nothing but rich bastards in the high density buildings in my cat. Okay, good luck. Anyway, so that's basically, that's just me traveling with the ball, so to speak. Anyway, oh god, not again. Yeah, so, yeah, that's Velas. That's a city of 11,000 now. And it will grow, depending on how big you grew it. It will keep growing, because the time, even though it's not actually moving, in the scenario editor, it still is moving, even though it doesn't show it as doing that. But, yeah, I'm going to quickly go to build a different scenario so where it's completely flat. Like, you're just going to go for a flatland, and I'm going to show you guys how to, how quickly and easily it is to make a million-plus city, like I like to make with Olyod. So, I will be right back. Alright guys, are you ready? Are you ready, Freddy? Are you ready? Okay, so now, what you might notice with this is that it may not have any, it may not ever envelop really any suburban spread. And that's because of the fact that it's a big, large city with a 3x3 area. 3x3 blocks. And in the game, it likes, especially if it's flat and there's nothing restricting it, it likes to grow simply high density, and that's it. Nope, it's going to instantly prove me wrong and make nothing but... hopefully it doesn't crash the game. I don't know how much that's going to expand. Probably, yeah, just short of double the amount we have at 305. Hello? Oh gosh. Don't crash him exploding on me. Well, there's actually probably a few more things to show you guys. So, the people are there. Yes, you can choose different this doesn't work well for me, but it works perfectly, obviously, for quite a few others. But yeah, you can choose different graphic spaces, which you can download off their little GF or GRF setup. You can turn off the actual sounds, so you hear all the trucks and the planes and all the other stuff. But to me, it gets monotonous really quick. You can come up with the music that's automatically in it, which is pretty cool. You can come up with intonation, which is, as explained, you know, this is all downloaded. Scott Joplin, King of Ragtime, which I really do like. The Ice Cream Man songs, everybody calls it. Can't remember what it's called. It's supposed to be about a carnival, I think. Anyway, and then traditional inter-holiday musica. Anyway, I select no music because usually when I play this game, I love to just blast the music, you know, traditional music that I like to play. And then, of course, you can select to drive on the left or drive on the right. You select to, which is not the car, it's actually the road. So, though we're considered universally here in the United States to drive on the left, that's the left side of the car, not the road. We drive on the right side of the... Well, we drive on the... Yeah, we drive on the right side of the road, but we drive on the left side of the vehicle. So it's opposite in Britain, but I don't know, it's weird. Anyway, it turns out that like Britain's one of the only countries that drives on the opposite side of the road that we do. It seems like a lot of people, countries, including in Europe, that drive on the same side of the vehicle and the same side of the road that we do. So I don't know why you guys are outcast, but then again, why are we the only country in the world that still uses imperial as our main measuring units? Who knows? It's like, you should get rid of that ghost metric or everyone else, yeah! And then we're like, but at the same time, it's just like, we have a panic attack. It's like, wait, no, don't do that. Wait, how will we learn? We don't have brains. We're in the United States. Are you kidding me? We're born without brains. Don't do this to us. Anyway, yeah, so you can double the interface, or quadruple the interface size. You can choose all the defaults, of course. It starts with English Original, which English as in literally English from England, so Britain. You can choose, of course, all these different languages in the game. I mean, like, it's so well covered. And it just keeps expanding each version, pretty much. So it's just because it has such an expansive community, and it's just such an immense community. Everybody's so committed. It's just like, you automatically just about everything. So like this, you even get the actual real choice of pretty much choosing your own monetary value. It's really cool. And then, of course, yeah, you got all that. So it's pretty cool that that's all available. Then what you get is, of course, you can just randomly play hype map. You randomly play automatically a scenario, which is just automatically pushed out there for you. You can start a new game. It's just pretty much just automatically doing, essentially starting a new scenario, except it's not, set in stone. There's not already companies functioning. There's not already other things you have. There's not already a set objective. You just go out and play with a preset, world, basically. Alright. So you got that. You got the AI, and notice how I did that. Like, there's a bunch of random AIs that just will randomly pop in between other ones. You can only have a maximum of 14 competitors, which I find annoying. I wish I could have a lot more. That way I can have all the GRFs and still have a bunch of random repeats of, I guess, of each other, but I don't know, it'd be pretty cool. I wonder what that is, that truck. Yeah. It's like suddenly a lot of noises. What is going on? Let's see. Yeah, you can check that one. Content, you can get to high school table. New GRF settings and settings. Well, this is all different stuff. So basically you set how the whole of the game will work and function, which is pretty cool. I will not get into that. That was wiped because of the fact that I was playing on, I think, 1.3.1 for a long time. And then I played 1.4.1 for like a month, and then I realized, oh, that's actually obsolete too. So, okay, 1.5.1. Well, now I'm probably, again, probably it's 1.7.1 or 1.8.1 by now. It may even be 1.9.1, but I'm not totally sure. Anyway. So, yeah, quickly, what we're going to do is we're going to go into... No, that's not what I want. Wait. Did the game just freeze? I did. Oh. I don't want to do that! God damn it. Mistakes have been made. I'm gonna... need to load a scenario, so that would be like that. So we're gonna go here. Just randomly select one. We'll load her up! And then I'm gonna show you the other thing that I need to show you guys, which obviously why I suddenly remembered it is because of the fact that this is another way you can choose to play. So it is available in multiplayer. So yeah, but the game automatically will allow will automatically notify. Oh, here we go. It'll automatically notify. Oh yeah, this world. It would automatically notify words Danny spit them out, all the other players in multiplayer, that you're using this. And it will automatically basically shame you for it because, it wants it to be as fair as possible. So if it notifies the rest of the players that you're cheating, well, likely it is, although other players can just automatically dump you off a cliff, and you're never going to play with them again, because they know you're a cheater. Anyway, but yes, so there's cheats in the game, which I believe is Alt-Control-C. Yes, it is. Okay. So, playing by myself all the time, it still has a bunch of buffers that it puts on your company, so that you never make it into the high score table. It actually... And also you make a lot less money overall. It's weird, like, over time. It's really, really monotonous. Like, I hate it so much that it does that. But, yeah, so what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to go pay off this stuff. But yeah, it basically just screws McDuck's. So even if you're not playing a multiplayer, it screws you over. So it's stupid, but it does. So, like, see, basically automatically it says that. So even though you're not playing multiplayer, they need to really change this, because it ticks me off, because it still screws me over even though I'm playing single player by myself. Basically what I want is I simply want a sandbox world, which is always what I want in games. Like, I just want no restrictions. I want no freedom. You know, I want all the freedom I possibly can have, you know. So I give myself usually on average between $2 and $5 billion to start the game and cheats. Because I usually start with and primarily go with airlines. And so what I do is I buy just tons of really expensive aircraft. Like the Airbuses, even though they're set to the lowest thing, the GRFs I have with the Boeings and the Airbuses and stuff in there, they still cost buku bucks. Like, they just cost a lot. So even if you have this much, it can really drain your money quick. Especially considering it takes a while for other things to do that. So even though you're putting on Magic Bulldozer, or you're putting on... Like, this is really stupid. Tunnels may cross each other. You'd automatically get screwed by the game, even a multiplayer, for doing that. When at that point, it just makes sense to allow that. Like, they should just have that in base game anyway. And that wouldn't actually screw anybody over. It wouldn't be doing anything making you more effective. It just allows something that should be allowed. So why should that cause you tons of pain and trouble? And basically say, oh, you're screwed. Same with this. Like, really? Although I guess that would actually technically add a little bit of a bias to your company, but I don't know. I think it's just so stupid, to be honest. But yeah. So Alt-Control-C opens the cheat menu, and those are the cheats you can do. I can't remember. I think they did add something else. Oh yeah, it was the minimum height for the world. So you can change that now. I don't know. I find it so stupid that they just... Even a single player, they screw you over for it. I mean, that's really the stupidest thing, is to punish somebody playing basically a sandbox game by themselves. Really? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So I hope people that develop this game hear this plea. Get rid of it in single player. Don't make it shame us for doing it in single player just because we want to play a sandbox game where we have the ultimate freedom. You know, at that point, it doesn't matter if we're using cheats because, again, you're literally making a sandbox. And if it's not making sense to you, I don't know how in the heck I'm not. But anyway, so those are the other two things I should show you. I was only going to show you the cheat thing, but I figured, options should probably be showed off too. Just so people are familiar that they can have a more familiar scenario in the game. But this has gone on way too long. This is basically an hour-long thing, so... this is going to take a lot of editing too, I'm sure. But, God, I hate editing. But oh well. Anyway. New boy Orion, yeah. Next to iPhone God. Anyway. Yeah, so I hope you did enjoy it. Holy shiznits, why you freeze? Oh, you guys are saving. Oh God. I do recall I don't have the best computer in the world, and it's not made specifically for gaming. It's intermediate is what it is. But... yeah, it's going to be more powerful than your basic computers by far, so I don't know. And it's not actually a CPU or a GPU, it's a APU, because they're combined. And so, my graphics card, that would normally be great independently, same with my CPU, they're not because they rely so heavily on each other. So it actually makes them both like, almost like having, I don't know, like a Pentium 4 or something, and that Intel 5700 or something. Anyway, yeah, but... that's it. So, hope you got the gist out of it. I hope you do enjoy it. And I hope you do try out this game because, again, it can be addicting and is amazingly fun. And, yeah, it's just Probably a really good idea. Houston in Portland, Deering. Junction. Mary's Igloo. Yep. Must have done that myself. Delta Junction. Fort Yukon, then again, maybe not. Circle. Well, those are Alaskan names, aren't they? Ah! Okay. I'm just getting lost again. It's a map, I can't help it. Ooh, sick guy. Saxman. Saxman? Okay. Yep. See you later. Bye-bye.